What?
And once again, we are back with the Unpopular Review, AE Dynamite Review Show. I am your host, the almighty Zia Silent, but for all Wednesdays, I am Elite, and I am joined by my co-host, the executive consultant, and we have Sheriff down below joining us as well. How are you two doing tonight on this AEW Review Show evening?
Don't all chime in at once.
Don't all chime in at once.
It's only me and you.
That's not how the joke works. Leave the call.
So let's get right into it. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty fire AEW episode that we had back-to-back weeks of AEW Dynamite, and truthfully, I do believe that they are seeing the excitement that people are getting from Rampage, and now they are understanding that they need to ramp up Rampage. No pun intended, but pun intended. However you take it, I do believe that they understand that Collision for its inception episode has been complete fire. It was everything that Dynamite should have been and kept going with. And let's face it, we've got some pretty stale episodes of Dynamite, and let's say the past 2 months, they've been hit or miss. The same way that we give Raw so much slack for being 3 hours and not getting what we should have in 3 hours, and feeling like you just wasted your time and watched an hour of excitement when you just wasted 3. But Dynamite is right on pace with the way that Collision is doing its thing. I like it. 2 weeks straight. You can do maybe 2.5. That's fine. With Collision's been on for 3 weeks now. I would give Dynamite 2 weeks that it's been fire on pace with Collision. And tonight we got a fire episode. It wasn't a lot of wrestling as much as they try to jam pack in most episodes, which is fine. You got 2 hours of wrestling. I know that I'm going to get at least 4 segments that's going to progress a storyline. I'm probably going to get 5 to 6 matches. I think that's a good formula for a good wrestling show. And just to run down the card, we got the tag team eliminator match, Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee versus Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy. We got another tag team eliminator match with Adam Cole and MJF versus who the hell was it? It was the Blade, and I don't know. I don't like the eliminator thing. It's really weird to me. Only because I feel like they're forcing people that shouldn't be in a tag team that makes no sense just for this particular storyline of MJF and Adam Cole, right? Like, this tournament is made to progress that singles run, that single storyline over the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And like, for the people that are in this tournament, it doesn't make sense for me. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the first match of the night. Excuse me. Which is that's not the one.
Darby Allin.
Which is Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy versus Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland. You know what? This didn't surprise me. I mean, these teams being in the Blonde Eliminator Tag Tournament didn't surprise me. It's fine. This is fine, right? We're still getting the backlash from Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, which is still not over with yet, which is absolutely perfect to me. And Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin do have a history of tagging together before, and they've done it, and they work very well as a tag team. And I thought that this was a really good match. It told a story from both sides. And I think that the action that we got in it for all 4 competitors was great. But the chemistry between Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy and Strickland was definitely on. But then you throw a big guy in there like Keith Lee. Did I say big guy? Pause. You throw a big guy in there like Keith Lee, and it kind of throws the fast-paced high flyers, top rope guys a little bit off. And I think you can see that a little bit. That's not a knock on the match. It's just these guys aren't used to working with a guy like Keith Lee that's that big in size. Pause again. But all in all, I am definitely giving this match. If you want to start off Rampage, this is cool. This is absolutely cool for me. I'm going to give it a B+, borderline A-. Sheriff, your thoughts on the opening match of Dynamite tonight?
The match was fun. I am a little bit like, at Strickland and leaving back together. I get that they tied it into the story with Darby Allin making comments about that, but I want to see more single stuff from Strickland. And then, this is obviously another L for him. So yeah, I am okay with the match. The match was cool. I just was a little disappointed because I'm like, so another L for Strickland and an aimless, storyline. Okay, but I'll pass to the exec.
Oh, that's so nice of you, and I feel special because you did that, right? I felt special because you acknowledged my presence. I don't feel special because I watched this match. And here's the reason why I say that, right? Actually, let's just throw a spade. Let's call a buck a buck. Let's throw it out there, right?
Let's keep it a bean.
Let's keep it a bean. Dice said, hey, this episode was a fire episode of AEW Dynamite. I've liked the last few episodes of AEW Dynamite. I didn't feel like this one was that special. I felt like this was really a little lackluster at times. It had a good few moments that I really enjoyed. These four competitors are very good four competitors, and I think their chemistry went well. And shout out to Keith Lee. Today is the first day I really noticed. I think he's really getting himself back into shape. So I want to acknowledge that, right? They did what they had to do in this match, but we're talking two. Look, let me explain. Let me show you something. Okay, this is my jug of water, right?
It's disgusting.
We'll call this Keith Lee. This little guy here is Darby Allin, right? Now watch this. Okay, this I wasn't good in science class. I wasn't, but watch this. Okay. For all y'all,
what? What was that?
For all that to this, see, let's try this again. This is Darby Allin. This is Keith Lee. All right, you see how that bounce? Let's do it again. Let's do it again, right? Let's do it again. Oh, okay, right? Takes away from the match for me. All right.
Let the record show that John Silver has a clean win over Keith Lee. It can be done.
John Silver actually is,
and he's like he's a little bit beefier, but he's still a small guy.
No, the beefiness. Pause. The beefiness. Size matters.
No. Not when the discrepancy is still large. Like, you can be big, but if someone's still way bigger than you, it really doesn't matter.
If Rey Mysterio can beat the Big Show, then we can believe anything.
Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, the limitless one. Okay? Now watch both of them. All right, that's what should have happened. And it didn't happen. Right? I'm a big fan of Orange Cassidy. I got into an argument with Steve on Monday during the unpopular review wrestling show about how I think Orange Cassidy has one of, if not the best title run in all of wrestling.
How can you say that? How can you say that if you don't like the discrepancy?
I don't like the discrepancy because it didn't make sense at times.
Okay, then you don't like Orange Cassidy.
Wait, in his defense,
you don't like Orange Cassidy.
He actually has a really great point, because if you want to look at pro wrestling in totality, right, and all the champions in totality, there's been two champions that have been consistent with every title reign, with every title defense, in every match. And if I'm wrong, EC, correct me. It's been Orange Cassidy and Gunther.
Gunther is another one.
Oh, I'm not saying Orange Cassidy is a bad champion. I'm saying it's contradictory.
There's
to
been,
say
but there's been.
that it
I
takes
forgot
you out
what
the
I
match.
forgot what
The size discrepancy.
I
But Orange
forgot what
Cassidy in reality is smaller than everyone he.
Orange Cassidy can have good matches with
Orange Cassidy is the same size
He
as
can
Seth
have
Rollins.
a good match with Seth Rollins. He can have a good match with Seth Rollins are bigger. He can
No,
have a good match.
literally the
you
same
know
size as
that's
Seth
cap.
Rollins.
That's cap.
But when
He's
you
not-
put him
he's
in
not-
with Keith
he's
Lee,
definitely the
right?
same size.
Keith Lee's over there. He's an imposing guy. I mean, he makes me look small. He's an imposing guy, right? And I literally saw a spot, and this one took me out. And this way you think about it is when Darby Allin tried to do that coffin thing, you know, from the ropes, this little springboard coffin thing, and Keith Lee was like, oh. I had a problem.
That would
But the
happen
match
in
was
real
okay.
life. Okay, have somebody fly their body at you and tell me you didn't stumble or fall. Like, what are you talking about?
If Orange Cassidy flung his body at me, I would not stumble or fall.
Orange Cassidy is, for the argument purposes, Orange Cassidy is 5'10", maybe billed at 5'11", depending on how AEW swings it. Seth Rollins is 6'1". There's a 20-pound difference between them, maybe 30.
Mhm.
How can Seth Rollins be believable, but Orange Cassidy can't?
30 pounds is big.
That's a
big
big
difference.
discrepancy.
That is a big difference muscular wise,
Even
but
though I agree
I'm
with
talking
the point,
height
like,
wise.
it's wrestling,
It's not really a
Height
thing to me.
Height 6'1", 220, 5'11", 160. That's a difference.
But it's
sir.
muscle. But it's muscle
Hey,
compared
I
to
don't want
leanness.
to. I don't want to waste too much time talking about this because we.
I mean, you're the one out here drinking water.
Yeah,
so I
you're the
expect
one
that you going to
talking
the
about,
gym.
oh,
We got
sorry,
Adam
takes
Cole to
me
talk
out of it,
about
but you
later.
like
Okay,
it.
so we got
Make
some
it
more
make
muscle
sense.
conversations to talk about, right? You know, Adam Cole. They got Adam Cole coming out here like he's John Cena. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about it. The match was okay. The match was
after that match, we got
agree with Sheriff, though.
we
Score
did
thing
see
a
it.
lot
We
of
did see a background segment of Hook chasing down Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and he escaped him again, which I think this is something that nobody wanted to even know about. Like, I don't care for this feud at all. I don't care for it. It's two people that I do not care about. Make me care about Jack Perry. Make me care about him. I don't care that his dad was on 90210, and that's the greatest thing about him. If you ask Mr. Mike Knox, it's the greatest thing about him. Okay, but what can he do in the ring? What can he do in the ring? I don't give a good dog damn.
Do you not care about Hook either?
No, I don't care about Hook.
These are
Why
like
do
two
you
of their,
care
like,
about Hook?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Why?
These are their most over like young guys. What do you mean? Why? He's talented. He's got a good look.
What talented? What's the best
Okay.
Hook match that you've seen since he's came in AEW?
Best Hook match.
She's
The
struggling.
best? Yeah,
She's
no,
struggling.
What's the best Hook match? That's a good question.
Okay, while you're doing that, can I make another?
I like the
visual?
one. No. Hold on. I like the one with Action Bronson. But go ahead.
If I can make another visual-
No, because you said best, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to pick that one because you're gonna say it's not. But that's the one I like the most.
There's another
like,
visual interpretation I want to make when it comes to Hook, and this is probably my last one for the night.
Oh
right?
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you know, I have to agree with Dice up there, right? Because this segment and this, I mean, I don't understand what AEW was doing. They showed the segment from last week where he ran in and jumped in. Oh, that's cool, right? He jumped in and the car drew away, and then they just redid it. You know, copied my homework. That's all they did in this segment. It didn't even need to be said. But the reason how come I'm interested in Hook. So this is a blank piece of paper, right? You see how boring it is? I mean, it doesn't really do anything. That's Hook. Your eyes are rolling.
They are.
I don't know why. Terrell Hassan, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry. It's Sheriff threw me off. Terrell says, hi there, guys. How was your Independence Day yesterday? My Independence Day was fantastic. Why? I woke up. That was
Don't all chime in at once.
No.
That is her dry joke of the day.
No. No, I'm literally like next to my washer, so I'm trying to be as quiet as possible. But
I know the feeling.
EC, go into this next match while I wait for my washer to get done.
All right, so the
Put the
Acclaimed
loose leaf
and
down.
Daddy Ass versus the Blade and Hollywood Bollywood Boys. I keep forgetting the Bollywood boys aren't in AEW, but then I remember they were fired from WWE, and Tony Khan says, "Oh, he looks at your resume and just says, oh, you work for WWE, you're hired."
That's not true. Go ahead.
That's 100%.
So I'm gonna take Hook here, right?
It's not true.
I'm gonna take Hook here, and I'm gonna go write 3 letters, and at the top I'm gonna write 1 word. All right. This says resume up top, and this says WWE, right? So I get an interview with Tony Khan. I hand him this piece of paper, and then Tony Khan says, "Oh, WWE, you're hired."
Do you know that WWE has released hundreds of people since AEW has signed
hundreds of them.
1% of them?
That's a lie. That is
no, it's not. It's not.
That's a lie.
No,
that's a lie. What do you
WWE has released hundreds of people.
I can name 10 off top. Right now.
But that's not hundreds. That's not hundreds.
Half of this match is former WWE fire.
Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to keep going? Okay.
Sure.
Mr. Ass.
Okay.
Keith Lee. Strickland.
Okay.
We can Bollywood boys. We can keep going with that.
We're still in the 1%. By the way.
Ruby Soho. The 1%. What do you mean?
Because WWE has released hundreds of people.
At least 70% of anybody who was in AEW has taken a trip to WWE and they couldn't cut the mustard.
Hold on. 70% of the roster, you think?
70%. Think about. Okay.
One of these days, we're gonna do a stat breakdown.
Think about the Chris Statlander. She was in WWE before as well.
That doesn't count. We're talking about WWE. Okay, then are you going to tell me that MJF was in WWE? Is that what?
No, he wasn't. He tried out.
He was though.
He was as an extra, but he was not on TV as a wrestler. Right? Yes. No, it doesn't count because he wasn't in the ring.
So what are you counting?
I'm counting if you had a match.
So the Young Bucks were in WWE. Is that what you're going to say?
I'm not gonna match them because that would be that the one thing that WWE does not acknowledge is the fact that AJ Styles had a match on Velocity. They don't acknowledge that. They acknowledge his run in WCW, which lasted like 2 or 3 matches. But they don't acknowledge the fact that he was on Velocity. So I'm not going to acknowledge that.
Not for nothing. I wouldn't acknowledge the Young Bucks being in my company either. But this match was okay. But it's the Acclaim that came out. They did their little normal stick. I'm surprised they didn't get booed for the wildfire comment. But anyway. They came out, they did their little stick. You already knew what was going on. I mean, it was the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, and then look at their opponents. The Blade and the Bollywood boys, who don't make it in NXT, don't make it in WWE, and don't make it in AEW. I'm sorry, they did. The match was just to further a feud with QTV. That's all it was for.
Sense. Like, this is what pissed me off. This is what really pissed me off, right? The fact that you have a old school team in FTR, aka the Revival, right? Old school guys through and through. And then you take a team like the Butcher and the Blade, who are as old school as you can get. You push one, but not the other. The Butcher and the Blade, maybe they can't talk as well or as good as FTR, which isn't saying much. But in the ring, they can go. They are old school guys that don't need to talk. And Tony Khan just keeps dicking them, pause, and dicking them, pause, and dicking them. Right? And then you put them with the damn Bollywood. The Bollywood boys? The Bollywood.
Cher's probably going to defend the Bollywood boys.
They put the Blade
I don't
with
care
the
about
Bollywood
the Bollywood
boys.
I just disagree that the Butcher and the Blade are like...
They put the Butcher with,
but the Bollywood boys were so entertaining.
Magic.
Do you remember how they used to say gender?
I don't know anything. I actually didn't even realize they were in WWE. Like, who is that?
To no far.
They're the ones that came out with Jinder Mahal when he was champion.
But guys like Bollywood boys make the veterans that are stars. They make them look good, and they get mad respect. So this is where they got a little bit of clout within the rest of the industry. They came from Impact. They made it to WWE. They had a nice little run with Jinder. They got the rub from Orton.
Yeah, they also took a big.
They got the rub from. They got the rub from Orton, right? And so at that point, you're technically made because when you get a rub from a veteran like a Orton, you are made. People want to work with you. So they technically have a name going into AEW. And if it's Tony Khan and he realizes they have a name, by all means, he's going to give them that contract, period.
The Bollywood boys have a name.
They have enough a name for Tony Khan. They have enough name for Tony. Tony Khan signed Roderick Strong.
But Tony
Khan
and Tony
signed. What's the other guy name who's injured that was in Undisputed? The one that don't mean
Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish.
Tony Khan signed the whole Undisputed, and only
this is
one
part of the 1%
matter.
was talking about.
Yeah,
only
a lot of people. A lot of people have signed to
people.
AEW that didn't have a following before.
Okay, we'll grant to that. That just proves the point that he just signs anybody.
Yeah,
but this match was not where it needed to be. This match wasn't where it needed to be.
Sorry, that's not what this
QTV. Yes, it is. QTV is not interesting to me, but they need to have the Claim do something because they don't want to win anywhere near FTR because FTR said, "Hey, I don't want anybody taking our shine, or I'm going to leave. I'm going to pack my bag and go home, even though y'all treated me well." That's what FTR does. So, always been a big fan of Claim. Don't like the censorship. But always been a big fan of Acclaim. I love to see him on my TV. But let's go to the next match. After we take the first commercial break we've had in ever. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
Oh, my God. Orange Cassidy. Jesus Christ. This guy. Stop with this guy. Chris, do not defend this man.
Orange Cassidy might be the best champion in wrestling right now.
You got to be stopping. What?
Next to Roman Reigns or after Roman Reigns. And still arguable because Roman Reigns hasn't defended that title since WrestleMania. I think that's a little too much. But Orange Cassidy might be the best champion in any company in wrestling after Roman Reigns, in my opinion. I really am a fan of his championship run.
You trying to box me into putting over Gunther right now? Like this is why you setting me up.
I think Orange Cassidy's around.
How, Chris? How? Why? Because the guy went through a bunch of matches with who, Chris? With who? A bunch of nobodies? Name me the gauntlet that he's gone through. Go ahead, Chris.
He's had great.
Thank you. Who is Orange Cassidy put over? Go ahead, tell me.
He doesn't have to put him over. He just has to have great matches, and he did.
So okay, name 5 of them. Go ahead. Name me the 5 best matches of Orange Cassidy's run as AEW what is it called? International? Nobody gives a fuck. Championship. Go ahead. Don't Google search that shit, Chris. I know what you're up to.
I haven't Google searched yet. That's going to happen, though. But I haven't Google searched yet. Every single Monday during the Raw episode of Raw, we live stream it. We do, myself, Big Daddy Cool, talk about all the world of wrestling. Of course, we were talking about Orange Cassidy this past week, which you just talked about Orange Cassidy for a while in the beginning. But now we're talking about AEW Dynamite. And what is this? Oh,
it's good to see Big Daddy Cool back in the fold doing his thing on screen. Definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, he's hilarious. One day we're going to have Sheriff on Raw with us.
No. I value my time and sanity.
Oh my gosh.
So moving on in the night of Dynamite, we get to hear from Chris Jericho, in which this was something that I think was needed for Jericho, not just Jericho, but the JAS in general. They've been very stale, very under the radar, and we kind of get a reset from Jericho. And if we want to talk about guys that are, I said this last week, guys that are in tune with knowing when to change with the times, I don't think that there's anybody better than Chris Jericho. He understands when his character is getting stale. He understands when the gimmick that he's holding is getting stale. And now this is another onion to peel back when you get it from Texas Roadhouse. He's peeling another onion peel off that onion, and he's now getting us more interested in him again because he spoke about wanting to change, and we're about to get the best Chris Jericho we ever had. I don't think that's true, but character-wise, it could be. Wrestling-wise, absolutely not. But characters make wrestling, so therefore I can believe it. But we then get Don Callis, who comes out, who arguably is the best heel that's not a wrestler in the business. I think that he gets way more heat than Paul Heyman. He's not a better manager than Paul Heyman, but he's second best to Paul Heyman.
Also not as good on promos.
Not as good as on promos, but he can say enough to get the crowd to boo him. And in that case, that makes him the 1B to Heyman's 1A. And he reminds us of the whole reason of why we got the Alpha Club versus the Bullet Club in Jericho versus Omega, and it was because of him, right? And and that's for a lot of fans. They probably did not know that. That was a refresher for me because we got those matches back to back in 16, and then we got it in 17. So those were really great. And then we see, like, why not? Jericho doesn't need to be a face at this point in his career. He's for putting over the talent. So he's staying in with his heel persona, and you know, the crowd is still playing into it like he's turning, and he's just toying with the crowd, and he tells Callis, maybe I'll join you. But Jericho's never joined anybody. He's always been the head of his situation. So I mean, I think we'll get a combination of the JAS with the Callis family, or whatever he's going to end up calling this faction, because clearly he doesn't have a name for it yet, because he's only got Takeshita. So he doesn't have a name for it. They're still debating, but I liked it. I love this segment. I love the interaction between Jericho and Callis, and I thought that the most important part was what happened afterwards when we got pretty much the MVPs of JAS and Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara asking, what about us? And Jericho tells them, you guys have to spread your wings. Right. And that's the only thing that has every group that Jericho has had. He's wanted his guys to spread their wings, whether it's Tito and Santana, Tito Santana Ortiz, or
name old wrestlers.
Tito Ortiz, Jesus, gosh,
Tito Santana, still wrestles.
Or Garcia and Guevara, but the one constant has been with him is Guevara, and I do believe that he still believes in Guevara, right? But like, you take Daddy Magic and Matt Menard, can you believe in them? Can you believe in Jake Hager? No, you can't. You got two guys, and those were the only two guys. Those were the most important guys on that segment, and I thought it was important. I agreed with this segment. I agreed with everything that happened, the interaction between Callis and Jericho, and then the backstage segment. Sheriff, your thoughts on the Jericho promo and the interaction backstage?
Well, in the way of believability, you know, if we're talking about realism, then yeah, you can believe in Jake Hager. He's a legitimate MMA guy. But that's beside the point. I don't see it the same way. I didn't like the whole, you guys got to go and like spread your wings. I would have preferred for them to, I guess, take the control of that situation and cut ties with him. Maybe even do a storyline where they double cross him, similar to the way they were teetering with Garcia and Danielson, but they ended up not doing the turn. Now it just seems like Jericho's, like, I guess, cutting them loose, and it's not really leaving them in a better position than when we started. So that was kind of annoying. But I am glad that they're separating them out so that they can essentially spread their wings. Hopefully they can capitalize on this, even if it's not the way that I wanted it to. I like Jericho, obviously. Jericho's the best at reinventing himself. That's why he has a case for being the GOAT. I also do like Don Callis, but I'm not entirely sure where they're going with this. It's not a bad thing. But I think it's interesting. I think it's a good storyline. I guess we'll see.
You know, the thing is, I feel like they're making up the storyline as they go along, quite honestly, because a couple of weeks ago, wasn't Sammy looking like he was trying to break away, and Jericho kind of forced him to go in and to stay, and now all of a sudden Jericho says, you know, I changed my mind. Y'all need to go spread your wings. And I just feel like now they're going in a different direction. I completely agree with the Jericho, who's one of the greatest of all time. Let's just be real. He knows how to reinvent himself. The man has like 29 nicknames for the whole time. You know, right now he's the Ocho. I call him the freaking Ocho. Or the Wizard, Ayatollah Rockarola, you know, the best in the world at everything he does. He is that good. It's good to see Chris Jericho putting over younger talent like he did Sting last week. And the reason how come I say that is because Chris Jericho needs to look at the end of his career. I've been saying that for years. He is good, and I see his dedication to AEW because he stuck around AEW longer than almost any of his runs outside his first run in WWE at this point. That says something about his commitment to AEW, and I know he wants to see it succeed, but he really might want to think about how to just raise the level of other people without him always having to be on screen, because unfortunately when he is on screen with any of his Jericho Appreciation Society, he kind of overshadows them. And that kind of takes away from him. Sammy Guevara's best work has been when he's not with Chris Jericho on screen. The only other thing I want to talk about is Don Callis, Dirty Don, in his heat that he has up against Dirty Don. It's amazing to see. And it's hard to see who has it worse. I'm going to go with Dirty Don on this and not Dirty Don, but Don Callis knows how to draw some heat. He is really hated, and it's fun to watch.
Well, the difference between Dom and Callis is at least the people let Callis talk. They don't let Dom get a damn word in, right? Like
I think the difference, to disagree a little bit with what you're saying, is Callis will just overtalk. Well, try to overtalk him, and you can barely hear him, but he'll try to overtalk. Dom does the thing where he's about to talk and then stops to try to curse and keep on going. Like you're actually controlling it.
But that's probably the veteran presence of Callis versus Dom.
Correct. Because you'll see that Rhea sometimes will finish a promo in it for him.
Yeah, but she also knows that she can whisper or pretend to whisper in his ear, and it'll kind of settle down because, like, obviously it's mommy, so she's who doesn't love Rhea Ripley? Like, so it's
I don't love Rhea Ripley.
What?
Everybody
knows. Boy,
I
almost walked off right now. I don't want to waste a
It's been a while.
What do you mean you don't like Rhea Ripley? What are you talking about?
Everybody knows Rhea Ripley and I do not get along. Like that's well documented.
How do you not get along with Rhea Ripley?
What?
What did Rhea Ripley do to you?
Excuse me, are you serious?
The man hates Liv Morgan. He hates Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley, she looked at me in the face and called me a peasant.
That's what she does.
No, this was her name. No. I'll tell you about it one time. Everybody else has seen the footage. The 2 or 3 times that we've been around. Well, actually, it's been more than 3 times, but we've been around each other. And one time I was at an NXT autograph signing, and the security had to hold us back, to protect her from me. It was terrible.
To protect her? That's what you're going to go with?
Yeah, that's what it was. She protect her from me because she was talking all that yakety yak.
Was she a heel or a face at this time?
It was it was NXT. It was in 2020, right before the pandemic started officially. So it was her. It was right after she. It was right after she beat Shayna Baszler. So because when she beat Shayna Baszler, everybody hopped in the NXT ring, right? Everybody hopped in the NXT ring and they had her all up there and they were all celebrating. I was at the bottom of the ring. I refused to go in the ring because I was pissed off at her. And she looked down at me and she did one of these and then she did this again and she left and stuff like that because we got an argument a week before because I told her that she was going to lose to Shayna Baszler. And she's like, I'm going to beat her. And then a couple weeks before that with the Survivor Series, that was our first argument. We got in an argument about it because I said she cheated against Sasha Banks. And she's like, she didn't cheat. I'll show you the footage sometimes. I can't believe you didn't see it.
I can't believe that you're being this petty right now about Rhea Ripley right now. I'm appalled.
I'm not a fan.
I'm appalled. Moving on in Dynamite, because we are not talking about WWE right now. We get
best part of the night.
The match amounted to nothing. And again, I was super offended that they put Daddy Magic and the Butcher in a team. Clearly, they had no chemistry. This match was all about the storyline of MJF and Adam Cole, which I think the whole Blonde Eliminator Tag Tournament is about MJF and Adam Cole. Adam Cole, MJF had great chemistry. I love the interaction that they had in the little back, the gym segment. We would talk about the big dude. He was trying to get close and he told that joke. It was a definite dad joke, but I cracked the hell up. But what made the storyline this week about them so funny was over the weekend. I don't know if you're probably not a person that catches Twitch, but Adam Cole was on Twitch streaming. He was gaming. And MJF subscribes to him, then calls him while he's streaming to talk about strategy. Like literally in the chat, he's talking about it. It's like the whole chat was going crazy. Like the whole chat was going crazy because they didn't think it was really him. And so he called, and like, so that progressed that even more. So like what they have right now is literally like Team Hell No 2.0, right? Like you got two guys that should be against each other, and it's really hard for them to work together. But Adam Cole has a definitive goal, and it's to get to that championship, but he can't do it without showing that he can play nice, right? And that was the whole goal between Daniel Bryan and Kane, was they had to play nice in order to get some sort of gold. So I loved it. The match was great. The chemistry was great between them. I love when when they grabbed the microphones and MJF was like, "I'm sorry we couldn't get that double clothesline thing going." Like that was the whole rib from the previous segment. And the fact that like they still played off of that and then played off of the happy birthday was cool. And not to mention MJF can blow a little bit. Pause. The man had some horns. The man was singing happy birthday like he had some soul in him. I was surprised. So I thought the segment, chef's kiss. It was great. It was a great segment. Daddy Magic Butcher. Unfortunately, you don't get talked about in this segment. It's cool. It was never about you in the first place. But MJF, Adam Cole, great segment. EC, your thoughts on that?
Best part of the night, by far, not even in competition. Best part I've seen all night. MJF and Adam Cole have amazing chemistry of this caliber that they are, of the storyline that they're doing. I almost don't want to see it end into a world title feud, which it is in the middle of, and which is pretty much the ultimate goal of it. But it is, and it's going to end, unfortunately, with Adam Cole getting screwed by Roderick Strong. But it's really,
you think
really,
so?
Oh yeah. Roderick Strong is asking questions. Adam Cole acting like he's not going to fall forward, but then he's going to fall forward, and it's going to piss off.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I forgot to mention this last week, and just because you said Roderick Strong, and it reminded me. Last week, MJF walks out in the parking lot. He was like, "What's up, generic white guy?" And like I'm looking back when I watched the clip. I'm like, yeah, Roger Strong definitely looks like generic white guy. He's like the white guy that they put in a video game. Is like he's just there backstage. It's like that's literally what it was. So I was like, yo, that was perfect. But I didn't get to say that last week. I just wanted to say that.
And he acts like it too. But it's amazing to see these two go. I did like the singing. I thought the singing was cool. I thought the cake incident was cool. Adam Cole saying, "Hey, thank you for being a friend." It's amazing. It's just amazing because everybody knows how MJF is, and everybody knows that one of MJF's best things that he does as a heel is try to reel in the fans in order to shit on him.
And then turn on.
Right,
Yep.
and he does it, and he's doing it now, and it's just so obvious, but the fans just eat it up every single time. And I also will give you this, the best part of this part for me was Adam Cole and MJF's entrance. I just thought was really, really funny how MJF was mocking him the whole time and then running around the ring to do Roderick Strong's part. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I can't say anything more about it because it was just that good.
The fact that he played off his entrance was pretty dope too. That was a nice shot. That was a pretty dope shot that they had in the beginning before the match started. Sheriff, your thoughts on this match right here in the segment?
I mean, yeah, you said it all. I liked the Team Hell No comparison. It also reminds me of when Matt Hardy and MVP were teaming, even though
forgetful.
Forgetful.
I even forgetful. Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No.
That's like one of my all-time favorite storylines. I can't believe you just said
MVP was a star. That and it kind of stunted. It kind of stunted his stardom for me, but I get it. They were still trying to build off of the edge thing, and they're still trying to keep Matt Hardy hot. But at that point, version 1, it didn't hit like that for me. I know Mike Knox loved version 1, but I mean yeah. But
well, it reminded the storyline is still similar, and like you had one guy who clearly wants a singles title, but they're kind of frenemies working together, and they get the tag titles together. So I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, MJF can sing. That goes back to my point. He's more talented than Roman Reigns. When Roman Reigns sings "Happy Birthday," when Roman Reigns sings "Happy Birthday" in an R&B tone, you can call me. Yeah, exactly. He's going to give Roman some Hello, XOXO. Hi, Candy 10467. He's going to give Roman Reigns some vocal lessons. That's where. Oh, you're back. How'd he do?
No, you was wilding. You was wilding with that. I had to walk off. Because you was wilding.
How'd Roman do with the vocal lessons?
You was wilding with that. You're literally comparing. Wait, are you comparing MJF's mic skills to Roman Reigns' mic skills, or are you comparing?
I said that he's more talented than Roman Reigns.
He's more talented than Roman on the microphone.
In general, he's a more talented person. It's just facts. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just facts. Yeah. When he gets back, I'm gonna ask him about them.
Can we create a poll on this? What makes MJF more talented than?
He has more talents.
How does he have more talent?
He can sing. He can act. He can dance. He can wrestle.
So Roman hasn't given you Emmy-worthy proportions in this 3-year run. Are you kidding me right now?
Okay, send me the video of Roman singing "Happy Birthday."
He doesn't need to sing. The man goes out there
in wrestling.
First of all, pause. Mm-hmm. He's a handsome son of a bitch. He goes out there and he looks at the crowd with his full shiny ass beard that has slight grays in it. I wish I was fucking Samoan. I could have long stringy hair, just put some water in that shit, make that shit fall down my face. That'd be great, right? He's a handsome fucking man, right? Handsome man. He goes out there, he says, "Acknowledge me." And the crowd goes ape shit.
But can he be a face? But can he be a face though?
Yes, at this point, yes, he could be a face. Can MJF be a face? Why?
Yes,
MJF?
Yes,
how?
MJF and he has been a face. And he has been a face.
When has he's been a face in AEW?
Yeah, he has. He was a face when AEW started, yes. He did a face turn on the very first episode.
He did a face turn.
On the very first episode, yes.
Okay, so you're telling me a guy who was 23 years old, known to be a heel, did a face turn to AEW and they loved him.
Yes.
They did not love.
You don't remember that?
No, they did not love MJF. That's why he had to turn heel, because the only thing that he was good at was playing heel. The easiest thing that you can do.
That's not what happened.
Okay, listen. The easiest thing that you can do. I'm watching Total Divas back as we speak, right? And they say like the easiest thing that you can do as a wrestler is to get somebody to hate you. It's easy to get somebody to hate you. Talk about the town. Talk about the people. You talk about somebody that comes from there. That's the easiest thing you can do. The hardest thing you can do is get the crowd to love you genuinely.
Yeah, I agree.
MJF does not have genuine love.
That's not
right.
True.
It's right. My comparison to this before we go to the last segment of the night, right? I've been a big Thanos fan my whole life. Thanos, Magneto, I'm all for them. I'm all for their causes. I'm all for what they stood for in the movies. When Infinity War came out and he snapped his finger and everybody disappeared, I was the only person in the theater with a Daniel Bryan chant. Yes, my guy won. The villain finally won. You know what happened? Then all of a sudden, Thanos fans come out the woodwork. Everybody likes to be the anti. This is why people like Deadpool for some reason. Deadpool corny as shit. He's the anti-hero.
Well, that's
right? He's the anti-hero.
I'm not saying
it's
for the bad guy. I'm saying him actively being a face. Like being a bad guy that people cheer is not the same as being a face. You know.
Okay, let me ask you this: which face run are you taking? Are you taking the Randy Orton's face run, or are you taking the Edge's face run?
Like by yourself?
By themselves.
Oh, if I had to pick Randy, or I'd take Edge.
And it's still not as good. It's still not as good as his heel work. This is what I'm saying. It's easy to get somebody
because he's a better heel, yeah. But when I say can you be a face, I mean can you thrive as a face? Can you get the fans to like
there? Okay, so last question.
Roman
last question.
Do that.
Is there any person that's been a heel that you hated their heel persona, but you love their face persona?
Jungle Boy.
Is this 3 in a row, EC? I'm about to walk on. This 3 you just said Jungle. Out of all the history of professional wrestling,
you said name one. You said name one person that you don't like their heel persona, but you like their face persona. I don't really like Jungle Boy's heel persona. It's too much of a 180. Doesn't make sense. And
you could have went with Stone Cold. You could have went with The Rock.
I like Stone Cold's heel persona.
And you went with Jungle Boy?
I like Stone Cold's heel persona. You said someone I don't like their heel persona.
Yes, if you didn't like their heel persona,
but you like their face.
Okay, so did you like The Rock's heel persona over his face, or his face over his heel?
I liked both. I liked Hollywood Rock.
So you don't have an answer, and your answer is Jungle Boy.
No, that was you said to name somebody. So
give me a notable. So give me a notable one. Give me somebody respect in the wrestling industry.
Who I don't like their heel persona, but
you don't like their heel, but you like their face.
Can I give the opposite? Can I give I like their heel but don't like their face?
No, the question is no. The question is
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I don't want to take too much time from the show. So I'm
we started at 10:15. We got at least 5 minutes left before we get to the. We're
okay,
good.
Let me think. So give me some time. I don't like their heel, but I like them as a face.
Yeah, pretty hard, right? Yeah.
I don't like, but I like them as a face. I'm trying to think.
Ooh. Candy 10-4-6-7 says Christian Cage. That's not a bad option.
I like Christian as a bad heel option,
but his heel work is phenomenal. So, but that's a great argument. That's a great argument. If I would take his face work in TNA, I would probably give you that argument. But his heel work in WWE is top notch, and his heel work in AEW lately is top notch. So that both of those would outdo anything he done face wise in TNA. So, but that is a really good. That's a really good answer.
I didn't like Big E as a heel, but I liked him as a face.
Big E you talking about the Intercontinental Champion run? Big E
when he was with
he just broke off from Dolph.
That too. He was a heel when he came to the roster, I think. And I didn't like when he was with Dolph and AJ. He was kind of an afterthought. I didn't really care for. And then when he had the run by himself, I felt like it didn't really hit. But when he turned face, I liked him as a face.
Candy, I will say that Jericho's heel runs are
Candy. I don't know what you're talking about.
His heel runs are unprecedented. Eddie Kingston, I ain't seen enough on the microphone for him, but I do like all three of those answers. Moving on.
If I could interject real quick. It's
about time.
Y'all talked about it for 5 minutes. I'm letting y'all have your opinion. I think both y'all right your own way. Roman is without question the best in the world when it comes to being a heel because MJF has to open his mouth. Roman is not. Roman just goes around and says something and that plays booze. And he has a better story telling it. But that's not taking anything away from MJF. We're going to take our last commercial break. Then we're going to talk about the last segment of AEW. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
And I guess Gable said, the match is over. Let me flame people. One dude, I don't know who this dude was. He just looked at his medal. He kept touching it, and Gable was like, I'm sorry. I got to throw this spot in. Right? I'm sorry. Let me throw this in real quick. I thought it was hilarious because Eddie just got thrown, and he almost landed on his neck. Thank God he didn't land on his neck, right? But you see Gable with the medal, like, he keeps doing this. He keeps doing this with the medal. And Booker T said, what the hell is that going to do? Chris Wright, what is that going to do? That's not going to heal him, Gable.
We don't know.
No, I do, because someone flinged the medal at me, and all I had was a bruise. So, no, it doesn't heal you.
All right. Now, moving into the last match of the night, we get the modern day wrestling god versus who's him? Wheeler Yuta. I don't mean to refer to him as who's him because I think he's under respect. So, but this is not a bad main event, right? It's not a bad one, but it's not like great. Like I wouldn't put this against any other main events that we've seen on Collision. This is like the height of WCW Thunder main event, right? Like this is like I don't know. I can't even explain it right now. But Kenny Omega versus Wheeler Yuta, and I don't think this had anything to do with the actual match. It had to do with everything surrounding the match. And apparently Candy thinks that Kenny Omega is sexy. So let's acknowledge that. Thank you, Candy, for that. I am not going to say that I agree. And I am comfortable with my sexuality. So the man's got teeth like chiclets. I'm good. But This match, I thought it was really good. Right, the exchange between Wheeler Yuta and Kenny Omega, I thought was really good. We just completely skipped over Ruby Soho and Britt Baker.
Yeah, you did.
Golly manigly. We'll get into that to close the show out. I thought the interaction between Omega and Yuta was great, but the one thing that everybody keeps forgetting about, right, is like the association of Kenny Omega with Adam Page and then his affiliation with the Dark Order, right? Like, and it's like you have to keep that in the back of your mind when you're dealing with this, because we're still going to get blood and guts pretty soon. And Page still is half and half with both. The Elite is fine with him wherever he stands. It's the Dark Order that's the issue. But then you also have the issues between Kenny Omega and Takeshita, who's still coming for him, who has this affiliation with the BCC. I'm not going to say he's actually in the BCC because they haven't acknowledged that yet, but like there's some sort of affiliation there. And it could just be, the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing and all of that. So he could just be, choosing sides because he is doing it for Don Callis. But I thought the match was good. The match was good. It was great. It was a good closer outer. But it was more so the theatrics around the match, after the match. Sheriff, I'm gonna start with you. Your thoughts on Kenny Omega and everything that surrounded that match.
Right. So again, it seems like they're investing a lot in Yuta. And if you want, people to grow, if you want them to get better, you got to put them in positions like that. You got to showcase them. You got to put them on a stage. If not now, then, when. And Yuta can wrestle. Yuta's really, really good. The match was good. I would say a solid main event. I feel like the conclusion was a little bit off with the Dark Order stuff. It felt a little bit mistimed, but it wasn't necessarily bad. I like the fact that they're trying to tie up loose ends like all at once into the one story. It can be a little bit much to pay attention to everything that's happening or all the details that are associated with it. But it's not necessarily bad. Like you said, blood and guts coming up, so it does make you more interested in it. And yeah, for decent conclusion. The exec, what say you?
The only thing I'll have to say is this was a terrible main event. This is not the match you should have put to end the night. I'll never say it is. Like, you have other options than to put Wheeler Yuta, who takes the L.
You hate Wheeler Yuta.
He's
like one of their main guys that they're investing in. Like, why would they not?
How do you figure that, Sheriff?
They have him.
He's been against all their top guys.
And he's literally side by side with guys like Danielson and Moxley. Danielson is going to be a champion at some point. Moxley was a champion. Castagnoli is a champion. And
Cesaro's a champion.
Well, no.
Ring of Honor.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but not in AEW. Yes, it's separate, but still, right? These are guys that they.
I forget he's champion of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, well, he's the champion.
I forget it because every week, you know what I'm saying? Until they
because you said because it's AEW. It's not technically.
No, it's not even because it's AEW. Yeah. It's because Samoa Joe, I can tell, is a champion, right? He carries the title. He says he's a champion. All that. He's proud champion. I don't see that as Cesaro. I see him come down, and then occasionally he'll wear the title. Occasionally he doesn't, and then they'll put on the little thing, Ring of Honor World Champion. But
if it's a promotion, they're going to acknowledge him as a world champion.
I don't see him on Ring of Honor TV that much.
When do you watch Ring of Honor TV? Because
hey, you're right. You're right though, that too. But here's my thing, right? You're saying that and I'm not taking anything away from the talents of Wheeler Yuta. I wouldn't do that. I think Yuta is very talented. But you have him in there with Bryan Danielson. You have him in there with John Moxley. You have him there with Claudio. Yet every time they have a match and one of them loses, the person who takes the L, the person who puts the L in the LWO is Wheeler Yuta. Every time.
Of course.
Just had to throw the LWO in there.
Because who else taking the L? Be so for
That's
real.
my point. So why am I taking it seriously? Putting him in the main event? I'm not.
Wait, hold on, right?
I'm holding.
Just because, right? Just because he's a fall guy, that is a role that you can play, right? Especially as someone who's a prospect, right? He did end up losing to Omega, right? Like you can build.
Did you
someone
think
up.
he was going to beat Omega?
No, but I thought the match was going to be good. But here's the thing: he could have beaten Omega. I didn't think he was, but I wouldn't have been mad at it if he.
Why
did.
do you think he was?
Why didn't I think he was? Because I don't think they're pushing him to the moon yet.
Oh, okay. Pause.
Yeah.
Nice. Before you saw this match, did you think Wheeler Yuta was going to win this match?
No, I thought it was going to be a good competition though. If he did win,
I know how y'all try to. You know what? That's fine. Let's put a little.
Are you new to wrestling?
There
Just
was
because
no
someone
reason
doesn't
to think
win,
that Wheeler Yuta was going to win, right?
It doesn't mean it's a bad match.
It's going to be a bad
person
match.
is
But what
bad,
am I
though.
watching it for? For your main event, Kenny
Okay,
Omega
let me
comes
ask.
out. They sit here and they say, hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Everybody he's faced, you knew he was going to beat. So were all his matches bad? I want to hear you say that. Were all his matches bad? You knew he was going to win for the last 2 years. Were all his matches bad?
You always set up to make it look like that Roman Reigns has a chance of losing.
No.
Yes.
Hell, no.
Cody Rhodes. Everybody thought Cody Rhodes was going to win.
I need some.
A lot of people. That's why they set it up in Montreal.
I need some non-AEW haters, non-WWE stands in this call. That's cap.
That's not cap.
True.
That's not cap. Everybody thought Cody Rhodes was going to win at WrestleMania.
Cody Rhodes.
Everybody that looked at the card thought that it was going to happen because they were tired of Roman. But everybody that understands storylines and understand this is the best thing that WWE has had in the past 5 years, and it's been going on for 3 years, would understand.
You said story, right? And everybody wanted Cody to finish the story. So
that's not the proper way to finish the story.
I agree with you. You don't have Cody Rhodes beat the tribal chief.
The bloodline storyline is so hot right now. Cody Rhodes' story just started 10 months ago. It doesn't make sense. So
and
you gotta make it
My
make
point
sense.
is that just because a match is predictable doesn't mean the match is bad.
Thank you.
Roman Reigns.
Say the match was bad. I said this should not have been.
You said, "What am I watching it for?"
So what was the main? I know you're not going to say Daddy Magic and Butcher.
That's my biggest problem with AEW Dynamite. Hell no. That's my biggest problem with AEW Dynamite. They have people on that don't need to be on, and they have people in matches. I'm sorry, they have the main events that don't need to be main events. Your main event segment ended with the BCC coming out and jumping in Kenny Omega like that. And Takeshi, I'm sorry, because John Moxley was over here fixing spaghetti. So
main events can't be predictable. Is that your
argument? Listen to what the executive consultant is saying.
Oh God, he's referring to himself in third person.
So you have Takeshita take a shit come out, and you have Cesaro come out, and they're beating up Kenny Omega, right? And you already know we're waiting for people to come out. They come out, they start trying to beat them up. They have a chair only for the shit to get cut off when what is it? What do you call them?
The Dark Order?
Yes, the Dark Order. Which, hey, you know what? I feel like you should turn the TV off when the Dark Order comes too. But how am I going to take you seriously? How am I going to take you seriously when your own promotion don't even want to show everything when it comes to you? I'm just saying I don't think it was a good way to end. No, I don't go with Daddy Magic and stuff like that. Basically, I don't think.
So what match out of the whole night would you have put as the main event? That's the best main event
I would have put, and y'all going to disagree. I don't give two flyings, right? I would have put Britt Baker and Ruby Soho in the main event.
Okay, why?
Well,
go ahead, walk off for the fourth time. Go ahead, walk off for the fourth time.
No, that's a great segment. That's a great segue.
Because you have two people.
That's a great segue.
Two people, and that's why you skipped it because this was the match that should have ended the show. But
no, that's not why I skipped it. I skipped it because I accidentally clicked the wrong slide.
You have two people who are credible who can end the show. They had a decent match, and there was actual stakes in the match. It meant something. It wasn't just.
I'm sorry, are you giving Ruby Soho props?
I've always liked Ruby Soho. I've never disliked Ruby Riott. So I have no problem with Ruby Soho. I like Britt Baker too. I think Britt Baker is an incredible talent. That's why these two could have ended the show. But no, instead, you give me Kenny Omega, great talent. Wheeler Yuta, great talent. But realistically speaking, that's not a match I need to see in the main event. All the other tag team matches, they didn't even need to be in the day. I mean, it was for an episode of Rampage. You know, shout out to Rampage. Apparently has his 100th episode on Friday. And shout out to Rampage because if the ratings go the way I think it is, this Saturday it's actually going to be Collision. So I just want to give a shout out to Rampage.
So while you're at it, why don't you just keep going into what you thought about Ruby versus Britt Baker?
Phenomenal match. It told a story, and that's what I like about my wrestling matches. To tell a story, it's believable. It's two women going out there and proving that they wanted to get something, a championship, a trophy that they don't deserve. And I just really want to give them credit for having this great match.
Sheriff, your thoughts on this?
I liked the segment. I liked the match. I like that Ruby won because I like Ruby Soho. I feel like Britt has been booked really strong. And so for that reason, I feel like they're going to pivot her maybe to feuding for one of the singles titles instead. But yeah, that he pretty much said it all. It told a story. And I feel like the tournament is a lot more interesting now because of that.
I'm going to say
her and Willow Nightingale fighting next week or whatever week they're fighting.
I'm definitely anybody has seen any show I've been on, I'm definitely a fan of Ruby Soho. Any show that I'm talking about, Britt Baker, I'm definitely a show of Britt Baker. I'm a fan of Britt Baker. I love anything she's on. She clearly is the face of the women's division and what she talked about. And she's not bad to look at, so therefore I'm not going to say anything bad about her. But this match was definitely all about Soho. But the fact that I hated the fact that they kept referring to the previous match that they had a year ago at the first Owen Hart Cup tournament, and they kept referring to things that happened in the previous match that happened in that. Like, you don't have to do that because the match is so good. And I feel like if you do that, you're diminishing what they are trying to tell in the ring. Like, you don't need to tell me that. If I'm a fan of AEW and I've seen it last year, I know, right? Like, I don't like, don't drag me along what you want me to think about the match. And that was the one thing, like, I hate about the commentary team at times, is the fact that they try to drag you along about what happened, but there's no excitement behind what they're saying. So I can't really get into what they're saying, right? And to use a perfect comparison, and I hate to bring up WWE because we're talking about AEW, but the history between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, the excitement that you hear from Michael Cole telling you the history in just a brief sentence. I don't need a whole explanation. A brief sentence. Jay did this because Roman did this 2 years ago, last year. Like, that's enough. That's enough for me. Now I can continue to enjoy the match. But they want to go into a whole spiel about everything that just happened between these women a year ago. But it didn't happen. Like, there wasn't any build-up to this match outside of the history that they had, so that wasn't needed. So, but I get what they were trying to do. Just kind of that's a little
just too much hand holding. You feel?
Thank you. Yes, too much hand holding. That was a little nitpick for me, but I thought for a split second I thought that Britt Baker was going to win it. I did think she was going to win it because she has not technically been in that world champion spotlight for a while. And not that she needs it, because she is the face and the honorary, I would say, fourth pillar, because she is definitely a pillar more than Jack Perry. But I thought the right person won tonight because Ruby Soho has definitely been putting in work. She's putting in a lot of work since she came. It took her a while to get her footing. I think her joining the Social Outcasts was a good step in her career in AEW. So I think this is a payoff. But next week she goes against Sky Blue. Now this is a match that I am actually torn between, because Sky Blue has everything that you want in trying to build a new star, right? Like, and if you're AEW, are you going with the veteran who hasn't gotten it, or are you going with the star that you can build your company around? And Sky Blue, she's young. She's like 22, something like 22, pretty face, nice body. She's marketable. What do you do? What do? You make her lose
And
after
you
you just
her growth,
like you're promoting her like crazy. She's on almost every AEW show, period. Right? And so are you going to stunt her growth, as you said? Like, what are you going to do? So I'm more interested in what they're going to do with that. But I'm also interested in seeing what are you going to do with Ruby Soho, who's been paying her AEW dues.
Yeah.
And if you're going to actually reward her hard work, in that sense of it. Do I think Britt Baker
and there was a lot of
AEW
interference from
champion?
Soraya and stuff, so that there's a
Britt
story.
Baker will definitely be AEW Women's Champion again. But let's think about Britt Baker's championship reign. It was long because they didn't have the talent. I think they have a fleshed out roster. You have plenty of girls that can go, and that can face.
I think for a long
champion.
time they knew she was dropping into Thunder.
I mean, Thunder is cool, but Thunder's probably going to be she's in that CM Punk realm where if anybody's watched AEW All Access, the girls don't really like Thunder because they thought that she was faking her injury. So this is why you have CM Punk on Collision. This is why you're going to have Miro on Collision and Andrade on Collision and Thunder Rosa on Collision, because these people are people that we've been heard to have rumored issues with the roster, locker room issues, and you have to keep them apart, because if not, you're going to let them go into the monopoly of professional wrestling, which is the WWE, in which they'll become bigger stars and you just lost money. So and they can't let that happen. And I think Tony Khan has too much pride to let that happen. So for me, I'm absolutely fine where everybody's at. I absolutely agree with you. Thunder Rosa is coming back. If you listen to Busted Open on Friday, she's on there hosting with Dave LaGreca. She is actually training now. She's past the therapy part, so she's training. That's why we saw her like a month ago before Collision started, because she was going to Tony Khan to talk about when she was going to be coming back. And it eventually will get that match between her and whoever the champion is, which is probably still going to be Toni Storm, which is fine. But what people still want to see is Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. And as we bring EC back in, any final thoughts from anybody here on the cast before
and side
we
note,
sign off?
Earlier in the show, I realized that Candy was Charmaine because she said, "Ding dong, you're wrong, Sheriff," and she likes to say that. So
I knew it was Charmaine in the first
I didn't
place.
at first, but then she said that. I was like, oh, of course.
You can tell because she always does OXOX and not XOXO. So that's how I knew that it was Charmaine. So Charmaine, thank you for tuning in to the streams as you always do. Super love. Thank you for tuning in. Love you, love you, love you. EC, as you chug your workout water or whatever have you, any final words before we sign off?
Yeah, I thought it was one of the weaker episodes of Dynamite, and I've really been praising it for the past month. I thought they've had some great episodes and great storylines, but outside of Adam Cole and MJF, I wasn't enthralled. It wasn't bad. I just wasn't enthralled. Oh yeah, and the match that should have been the main event. I just.
So no backstage.
It wouldn't get a thumbs down for me, but it'll get, it's just not memorable. Say it again, sir.
No backstage segments did it for you?
There was a backstage segment tonight?
No, any backstage segments that did it for you?
I don't remember any backstage segments.
Jesus God.
So you're saying it was mid?
He said
I don't know how to say I can't say that. But if you said it. You making fun of people's speech impediments.
Mama said. Mama said.
Mama say.
Your thoughts?
Unironically, actually, I low key agree. It was a bit of a mid show.
Mid.
I'm the only person.
But the storyline around the world title was strong, so that's good points. I liked the main event. That's good points. And then the Ruby Soho and
That was the main
Britt Baker match. So I'm gonna give it a B+.
That's better than what executive, because
I know, I was a
I
little
believe
bit
in executive's
disappointed.
mind. He C plus.
Yeah, I'm being plus just to be nice. Really was a C. It was C.
Really?
I'm gonna give tonight a B plus. If we're looking at what I am referring to when I do these, the site that shall not be named, you can guess it for all you know. If you look at it on the internet, they are giving the final grade a B. It says no harm, no foul, except for a show closing angle timing, which the producers are going to have to improve. And I actually agree with it, but I didn't think it was a bad closing. I didn't think it was a bad closing.
They make it seem like it was an accident. The producers saw Dark Order come out and say, "What the hell am I doing?" And then they turned it off. They're like, "Dark has been canceled."
That's fair enough, but overall, I'm going to agree. I'm giving it a B plus because it kept me entertained for the night. Charmaine gives it a B minus, so it's right on. It's right.
You're wrong.
It's right on par with pretty much everybody's grades tonight. Of course, EC gives it the lowest of the night, but he hates AEW, so
I don't hate AEW. I've been a big fan of AEW. Speaking of which, pay attention to our Impact Wrestling review show that's coming out.
Ooh, that's nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Why would you watch AEW and you're gonna laugh?
No, because you said that you're a fan of AEW.
I am a fan of AEW.
AEW is better than Impact, but Impact has the best storylines out of professional wrestling outside of the bloodline.
Necessarily, I agree with AEW being better than Impact.
I wrestling wise, I would say, but storyline wise.
When's the last time you went to
Impact.
an Impact show?
You effed up on this one.
I'm interested. No, I'm interested.
I'm saying you effed up because I was actually there 10 days ago.
Well, okay, but who was on the show?
Trinity.
I mean, the best thing they have is Trinity and Deonna Purrazzo.
The Impact episodes that are being shown right now are actually in Atlanta, and I was there for it.
The first person, when I asked you about Impact, the first person you named was the WWE person.
You want me to name an Impact person?
Who do you like on Impact?
Thank you, Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin, I'm not even that interested in him. I like the rap.
Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander is the best.
Josh Alexander wasn't there.
Josh
Alexander,
but he's still hurt.
I do actually.
Leo Rush came back, and then
I did see that.
Mangus came back. I can't remember his name right now.
Magnus.
A personal favorite.
Magnus. What's his name now?
Or
Nick Aldis?
Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis.
That's not Magnus. That's two different people.
No, that's Magnus.
Is it?
Yes.
I think last week I called him something else, but it's not Magnus. Or I called him Maven, but his name was Magnus.
Yeah, it's Magnus.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that's Mickey James' husband.
Yes. The Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah, they're okay. They're all right.
Alex Shelley finally got
Giselle Shaw. Giselle Shaw, I'm high on. I really think she's a good talent.
Mr. Best in the world. I have
all right, so as we sign off for UPR's AEW Dynamite Review Show,
Impact, though. I'm so upset at that.
signing off for the sheriff, signing off for the executive consultant. I am the Z is silent, but on Wednesdays I am elite. In the words of Shannon Sharp, who is no longer on FS1. Yeah, I like fried chicken. I like chocolate too, but if I got the fried chicken,
was there too.
I need the chocolate for. And if
That's
somebody don't like you, you tell them you don't give a good dog damn about what they got to say. You tell them to dissect it. And in the words of the late great Jay Briscoe, drink, be merry, and reach for the sky, boy. Nobody got a drink. All right, we got it. Okay, there we go.